Fans thought they knew everything about that iconic Outlander wedding scene. It had been talked about, analyzed, and replayed countless times, often described as one of the most emotional and authentic moments in the entire series. But when Sam Heughan finally shared what it was really like behind the scenes, something changed. Because suddenly, that unforgettable moment didn't just feel romantic, it felt far more complex than anyone had imagined. On screen, the wedding between Jamie and Claire feels intimate, natural, and deeply emotional. Every glance, every line, every pause carries a sense of sincerity that makes it easy to believe in the connection between the characters. It doesn't feel staged or exaggerated. Instead, it unfolds slowly, allowing viewers to feel like they're witnessing something real. And that's exactly why the scene has stayed with fans for so long. But according to Sam, what made the scene so powerful wasn't just the script or the direction, it was what was happening underneath it all. Filming those moments required more than just acting. It demanded a level of emotional control and awareness that isn't always visible on screen. There were multiple takes, adjustments, and moments where the pressure to get it right became more intense than expected. And in that process, the line between performance and genuine emotion started to blur. What surprised many fans was the idea that something so seemingly effortless was actually carefully constructed piece by piece. Each moment had to be balanced. Too much intensity, and it would feel forced; too little, and it would lose its impact. That balance didn't happen by accident. It came from constant recalibration, from understanding not just the characters, but the emotional rhythm of the scene itself. And that kind of precision takes time, patience, and a level of focus that goes far beyond simply delivering lines. There was also the challenge of vulnerability. Scenes like this require actors to step into emotional spaces that aren't always easy to access on command. It's not just about portraying connection, it's about creating it in a way that feels believable, even under the pressure of cameras, crew, and repeated takes. And while the final result looks seamless, the process behind it can feel anything but. Sam hinted that there were moments during filming where the weight of that responsibility became very real. Not overwhelming, but enough to remind him that what they were creating mattered, not just for the story, but for the audience who would experience it. That awareness adds another layer to the performance, one that doesn't show up directly on screen but influences every decision made along the way. What makes this even more interesting is how different the reality of filming can be compared to what viewers imagine. From the outside, it's easy to see a finished scene and assume it unfolded naturally, almost effortlessly. But behind the scenes, it's a series of controlled choices, repeated attempts, and adjustments that slowly build towards something that feels authentic. And in this case, that process was far more involved than fans had ever realized. At the same time, there's something almost paradoxical about it. The more structured and deliberate the process becomes, the more natural the final result can appear. It's a reminder that authenticity in storytelling isn't always about spontaneity. It's often about precision, about knowing exactly how to create a moment that feels real, even when it's carefully constructed. For fans, hearing this changes the way the scene is understood. It doesn't take away from the emotion, in fact, it enhances it. Because now, there's an added appreciation for what it took to create that moment, for the effort and intention behind something that once felt effortless. And that shift in perspective makes the scene feel even more meaningful than before. And as that realization settles in, one thing becomes clear. That unforgettable wedding scene wasn't just powerful because of what was shown, it was powerful because of everything that went into making it feel real. But what truly made that scene stay with fans for so long wasn't just the way it was filmed, it was what it made people feel. Long after the episode ended, viewers kept coming back to it, replaying certain moments, noticing small details they hadn't seen before. It became more than just a key point in the story, it turned into a benchmark for emotional storytelling within the series. And once Sam Heughan began to reveal what went into creating it, that emotional connection only deepened. At the heart of it all was the chemistry between Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe. Their ability to create a believable connection didn't come from a single moment or a single scene, it was built over time, shaped by trust, communication, and a shared understanding of the characters they were portraying. That trust allowed him to approach such an important scene with a level of openness that made the final result feel genuine. And when that kind of foundation exists, it becomes possible to create moments that resonate far beyond what's written in the script. What's fascinating is how that chemistry translates into something audiences can feel, even without knowing why. Viewers often describe the scene as real or authentic, even though they're fully aware they're watching a performance. That's because authenticity in storytelling isn't just about what is shown, it's about what is conveyed emotionally. And in this case, every look, every pause, every shift in tone contributed to a sense of connection that felt undeniable. At the same time, the scene represents a turning point within the story itself. It marks the moment where two characters move from uncertainty into something more defined, something that changes the direction of everything that follows. That narrative weight adds another layer to the performance, because the actors aren't just portraying emotion, they're carrying the significance of what that moment means for the entire story. And when that kind of meaning is embedded into a scene, it naturally becomes more impactful. There's also the way the scene was structured that contributed to its lasting impression. Instead of rushing through it, the storytelling allowed space for the relationship to develop, for the characters to reveal themselves gradually. That pacing gave the audience time to connect, to understand, and to feel invested in what was happening. And that investment is what turns a well-acted scene into something unforgettable. When fans look back at it now, especially after hearing more about what went on behind the scenes, they often describe a new level of appreciation. It's no longer just about the story or the characters, it's about the craft, the effort, and the intention that went into creating that moment. Knowing that it required multiple takes, careful adjustments, and emotional focus adds depth to what was already a powerful experience. At the same time, it highlights something important about how memorable moments are created. They don't happen by accident, even if they appear that way on screen. They are built through collaboration, through a shared commitment to getting it right, and through a willingness to engage with the material on a deeper level. And in this case, that commitment is exactly what allowed the scene to reach the level of impact it did. Fans also began to realize that what they connected with wasn't just the romance, it was the honesty within it. Even though the scene was carefully constructed, it never felt artificial. There was a sense of sincerity that came through, something that made the emotions feel grounded and believable. And that sincerity is what continues to draw people back, even years after the scene first aired. What makes it even more powerful is how it stands as a contrast to many other moments in television that try to achieve the same effect but don't quite reach the same level. It shows that when the right elements come together, performance, direction, pacing, and emotional understanding, the result can be something that transcends the screen. Something that doesn't just tell a story, but creates an experience. In the end, the reason that Unforgettable wedding scene lives up to its name isn't just because of what happened within it. It's because of how it was created, how it was felt, and how it continues to resonate long after the moment has passed. Sam Heughan's insight doesn't take anything away from that. It enhances it, adding a layer of understanding that makes the scene even more meaningful. Because sometimes, the most unforgettable moments aren't the ones that look perfect on screen. They're the ones where everything behind the scenes comes together just right, creating something that feels real in a way that stays with you long after it's over. Thanks for watching my video. Wish you all the best.